Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today what we're going to go over is in regards to the Activision Blizzard deal. Now, when I woke up today, I expected to receive some different news, some better news for those in the Xbox community and fans that have been cheering for this to go through, but alas, that did not happen, and to the surprise of many out there, it was not passed. So, there's a lot to go over here, and I'm going to try to go over it as quick as possible. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I was saying, what we're going to do is we're going to go down and kind of break down what just happened here this morning. So if you were possibly super busy or living under a rock today, the news did come through where the Activision Blizzard deal was actually blocked by the CMA. It was essentially blocked by the FTC originally, but the thoughts were that it was going to be passed by the CMA here. Regarding that, it seemed like the issue wasn't console related. It ended up being cloud related of all things. So let's kind of go over all that. I'm not going to go over everything, just a quick paragraph here. I will post the link in the description below if you want to see the official press release from the CMA that breaks down the exact reason why in detail. Feel free to do that. I just don't want to bore everybody here. I want to give my thoughts and opinions and some facts here. But just real briefly here, the CMA has prevented Microsoft's proposed purchase of Activision over concerns the deal would alter the future of the fast-growing cloud gaming market, leading to reduced innovation and less choice for UK gamers over the years to come. Now, yes, this is mostly a UK, or it is a UK-based entity, the CMA is. And with that said, so that kind of blocks a lot there. Now, with this being blocked, what I want to first go over is the fact that this can, or at least Xbox can try to appeal the block by the CMA. Will it succeed? The odds are not likely in their favor. Now, I don't have 100% quoted facts here from this, so if this is incorrect, definitely let me know in the comment section below and maybe provide a link for me if you can, as I have yet to have time to do this. But I have a lot of folks out there stating that any appeal towards a CMA block has not been approved for the last 19 years. So usually when the CMA does in fact block something and they've come to a final decision after all this time, this decision was not made lightly, it was not made quickly. This has been drawn out, as you can see from all of my previous videos, and I could have made a ton more just to draw it all out, but I refused to do that. But I did hit the keynotes every time there was something to report on. So that being said, I don't think it's likely that it would be overturned with an appeal. Even at this point, if they said, hey, let's subsidize some pieces of property out elsewhere, or maybe we'll only get some of this, or whatever the case ends up being, that may not be the case. So odds are it's just not going to get appeal turned over, whatever you want to call it. It's just not going to happen. It's just super interesting because everybody, including myself, again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an actual analyst. I have been gaming, I have been paying attention to the industry since as young as I can remember, right? I've been gaming since I was 3 and I got my hands on the first Atari piece and whatever contraptions that were available to me at that time. And just continue to go on and on. So this is a very serious hobby to me as far as how I enjoy it and how I incorporate it into my life as often as possible. And thankfully, I'm very thankful that I can do that as often as I do with a family and full-time job and all that. So that being said, just kind of wanted to give some little bit of a background here on that. But yeah, if you see my very initial first video in regards to this is probably even, a year ago at this point or close to, I always had my reservations, but it wasn't in regards to the cloud issues, right? So it's interesting that they pull it from that, but COD was the biggest IP and most lucrative factor in this deal, and when you give somebody the power for that, that's huge. And then on top of Call of Duty, what's the most lucrative And there may be some others out there, but at least in the top 10 list, as far as I'm aware, is what? By King, the mobile publisher there, which would be what? Candy Crush, right? So that continues to do very well. I think they have spin-offs. I think there's this, that, and the other. But so that was my concern. I mean, that creates such a jump forward, right? With a monopoly, so to speak, when it comes to that. It's not like they're buying, even though EA would be huge, or Take-Two would be huge, or CD Projekt Red would be huge. Those are big, but it's not as massive. This was monumental. Bethesda acquisition was already monumental as it was, and then here we go with the Activision Blizzard. So that was my concern from the beginning, was like, whoa, they're not getting smaller studios and buying them and building them up and funding talent and allowing them to do new IPs this way and that way. They're just like, hey, we need to do something now. Something to look at here, and I'll place these thumbnails as we talk here, but where they're mentioning with the newest Samsung QOLED TVs, there's no console required. You can stream your games from Xbox Game Pass or whatnot directly to your TV. I truly think that if this Activision Blizzard deal was to go through, or it did happen, that is going to exponentially, and I know again, a lot of the Xbox fans out there don't want to hear this and they don't agree with me, but I'm just being completely honest. If that were to happen, that would monumentally and quickly, without a doubt, push Xbox into the direction of going a third-party Game Pass publisher and just having their stuff everywhere. By next gen, I don't know if they would truly have another console. I have some other Xbox fans out there stated, well, yeah, Microsoft said there's already plans and they're designing the next gen console and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, but they can also alter that. Nothing's set in stone. And they can alter the piece of hardware that could allow you to plug into your TV and stream or download a game without having to go through, the cost of creating a new gen console, and the loss that you take on every hardware piece. And Nintendo and PlayStation, everybody involved that creates a hardware console does take a loss every sale. They sell those hardware pieces, those consoles, in order to get you into that ecosystem and buy the software. The software is where they make their moolah, their money. A lot of you may already know this, but for those of you that don't, that's how it's done. So I think that would have just exponentially pushed that forward. So the good news on the Xbox side is, with it not going through, you might get another generation of Xbox with the console, depending on what they do here. Now, there's a couple of different things that they can do, and that is what? They can lick their wounds and try to look for another acquisition. If they truly want to go that route, they'll probably look for a little bit of a smaller acquisition and get that under the radar of the CMA and FTC and all that, where it's not considered a monopoly or raising some eyes of like, what are you doing? So there's a lot of opportunity there for them to do that and look back. But it seems like they're going to try and put all their effort into appealing this Activision Blizzard deal, which to me is unfortunate, because from what's been stated out there, it can take about 3 years for this appeal to go through all the necessary motions and then be applied. And then who knows, it could get approved, but again, the odds are very unlikely that it would. So not only are you wasting money and time and effort, when you could put that money, time, and effort into your ecosystem and create new games and new IPs, or bolster the ones you have, or acquire new talent and all this stuff that you should have been doing from the very beginning. I get it. If you have the money, easy win card is get ABK and get that money. It doesn't mean they're going to be number one in the industry still, even after that, but it does net you a lot of money because of how successful certain properties from that umbrella is. But I just find it interesting that they truly want to go through with the appeal process. It is going to take quite a bit of time. At the earliest, analysts are saying mid to late 2024, but odds are 3 years out if they start going right now, right? So just a lot of issues there. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of Xbox fans were 100% certain this was going through. I was even one of them because I fell into the whole hype train. Oh, it's happening. Nothing's going to stop it. A lot of parties were involved that were agreeing to stuff. Microsoft went ahead and said, here's a 10-year deal to Nintendo. Nintendo signed and said okay, as well as to other areas. PlayStation did not sign that deal, which I thought was interesting and bold, but here we are. It worked out, right? So not only what's interesting is you're not only wasting the time of many other assets here, but you're wasting the time of other companies like Nintendo and so on, where you're taking their time out. Yeah, here's a deal, sign this, do that, and then it falls through. It falls through. This isn't the first time. It isn't the last time. They're also very presumptuous as far as how they, announced that they got an acquisition and stuff. They even tweeted back in January that Microsoft welcomes Activision basically to the family, and these are the games and IPs and all that stuff that's going to be hitting it. And I'm like, you guys probably shouldn't be tweeting stuff until things are finalized. I know it worked out with Bethesda. This is probably new water that you're treading regarding what you were trying to accomplish, but yikes. A lot of stuff here. So as we've gone through, I know you've seen some pop-ups for some quick memes. You can't help but kind of poke fun because it just seems like Microsoft is not, I don't know. They just seem to be fumbling left and right. They don't seem to be bringing home what they're supposed to. They're not focusing what they need to do on how they need to do it. And it just, you can throw money everywhere you want, and money is power, but sometimes that can only get you so far. And that's why we have policies and legalities in place, is to kind of check that stuff from time to time. Again, I couldn't sit there and say 100% certain that the acquisition wasn't happening. But it is not happening. And I'm still beside myself. I had all day to think about it, see stuff, social media. And again, it comes down to the cloud aspect of it. And I don't think the CMA is wrong when it comes to the cloud portion of it. I mean, that's huge too, because all you have is Google and Apple, iOS, that kind of controls that. And then here comes Microsoft, and they would gobble that all up, and that's 100% on them. That's a big factor too. So I just find it interesting they didn't have any issues with the console piece of it, but they had issues with the cloud part of it. Again, they're not wrong. As salty as some of the Xbox fanboys out there are about that, the CMA isn't wrong about that. You can be mad at Sony, you can be mad at the CMA, you can be mad at whoever, but the facts are the facts. That's what happened. Don't put your eggs all in one basket. All the phrases that you want to put out there is what it is. And, you can't be tooting your own horn. I've seen so many memes. I've seen so many people puffing their chest out thinking this is going to happen. Even if that went through, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything. And Microsoft has been, and like I stated, in a bad way for so long. Even with the Bethesda acquisition, we're having issues with the perception of Redfall. And we don't even know if that's going to be great yet. It's coming out at 30 frames per second. We know probably Starfield's coming out in 30 frames per second. We all know how Bethesda games are typically pretty buggy, especially from certain devs of theirs under that umbrella. And, it's just is the way it is. But I just feel like something's really amiss there. And I know they try to do the right thing. Try to wrap this up here, but I know they try to do the right thing. But man, they're just like miss, L, one after the other. And it's just interesting how people are still so on board with those guys and the mismanagement nonstop. I just can't fathom it. And, people got to vote with your wallets. You got to see what's out there. You got to stop, essentially capping for a company. If you think everything's fine, it's not. And if you don't expect that change, if you don't warrant that change, nothing will ever change. That's just it, So you got to hold them responsible. You got to hold them accountable. If you guys want mediocrity from that company and you're okay with that mediocrity. If you buy into the keywords where Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, best value in gaming, yada yada, what are you getting? It's been 500 and some days since you received your first or next AAA game. That's a big deal. Here soon that will be remedied from the fact that you're going to get Redfall, but it's been over 500 and some days before you received a AAA game from a studio. It didn't really have anything to launch with the next gen system. Halo was a big letdown for a lot of folks. The list goes on and on and on, the only real success being Forza as usual. I don't know what you guys expect. Sorry to get all somber there for y'all guys in regards to that camp, but you think about it as a whole. You got to take a moment, step back, and think about it. That's all I have to say about it. But let me know down in the comment section below what you think about this Activision Blizzard deal. Were you just as shocked as I was in regards to it being blocked? Did you think it was going to go through? What do you think is going to happen with Xbox afterwards? What do you think their next move is going to be? Do you think anything's going to change for those guys? Definitely let me know. And also leave a like on the video if you can. Helps out the algorithm. And if you happen to be stopping by and you're not already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. We are at 462 subscribers at the time of recording, out of the 500 goal. So we are so close, man. We are so close. So thank you all so much. I know we can get there with your help. So thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day. And hopefully better news for the rest of the week for the Xbox camp. And we'll see you next time on the next Xvault gaming video. And until then, take care.